Hello and welcome to my review of the Curator collector set. Now, I wasn't originally going to review this, but after much demand from the amigos, I thought I'd have a look at this set, and of course it's Tom and you can't go wrong with it. So without further ado, let's look at the packaging on how this figure set is presented, then we'll look at the actual content inside. So let's go and have a look. So looking at the box, we have 5.5 collector series, 5+. Then we have the new collector series packaging, which I really do like. It's better than the sort of orangey and orange blue thing that we had for series 8. With lenticular Gallifrey Falls, no more painting, Doctor Who, the Curator set, and we have the figures displayed there nicely, there with the roundels. I have to say this, it seems a shame to take it out of the box in a way. The way it's displayed, it just looks fantastic. Then we have the American warning sticker there on the side with a picture of the Curator himself. Then we have a picture of the set and a bio on the day of the Doctor and the Curator himself, so do feel free to pause to know more about that if you want to have a read. And on the side we have another picture of Curator Tom there, and that's basically that. So now let's have a look at the actual content inside. Okay, so looking at the Curator figure, so articulation wise the head moves side to side, but it is sort of stiff and is hindered by the shirt collar, so I wouldn't recommend moving it. The arms are ball jointed and obviously can do a full 360 there. We have bicep, we can do 360, bend at the elbow at 90 degrees, and the wrists cancel but are sort of hindered by the cuff of the jacket. There is waist articulation, but it is tremendously stiff and I don't really want to move it, and it can do a 360 if you want it because the jacket is sort of flexible. There, the legs can move out, and obviously you've got thigh articulation and bend at the knee. And surprisingly, there is foot articulation. We can do a full 360, and the foot does sort of pop out of place, and it does make it not want to stand. There we are. Just clips back in, so it's all fine. So the articulation is pretty standard for a 5-inch figure what we've had. Now, my main criticism with the collector's series so far is the paint apps. Now, the original prototype for this figure looked a spitting image of Tom Baker. Undeniably Tom Baker. I'll put a link in the description to the original prototype before it was painted, and you'll agree with me that it is a lot like Tom Baker. Now, when it comes to the paint apps, it just loses the likeness of Tom Baker, and Tom Baker now looks like an old lady, in my opinion. I mean, some angles you do get where it looks like Tom Baker, but the face sculpt isn't that good, but I think that's due to the poor paint apps, what really do let it down. I mean, I think this is the same with the Capaldi, that because there's so much paint on it, it loses the sharpness of the sculpt, making us lose some of the sort of aging on the figure. So going through the detail, we have this nice sort of dark and light grey over the hair, so a nice sort of dark wash over the hair to give a sort of look to it. We've got the nice sort of wrinkles there, which is great. The shirt's done nice, but it's sort of inaccurate because Tom had a cravat, so either that was too difficult for them to sculpt on as well, so I thought we just button it up. The check shirt's done nice. It's not very good close up, it just looks a bit messy really. The jacket is obviously meant to represent tweed jacket. From a distance it looks alright, but up close you can tell it's just all these different lines going on. It would have been nice if they had like a bit of texture like the Matt Smith figure did, to give a sort of tweed feel, but it's still nice. I like the detail of the cravat with the little detailing there, which just has nice little attention to detail. We've got the buttons sculpted there and the pockets on the sleeve. We have some buttons sculpted there, so it's all nice attention to detail. I like that they've tried to get the jacket design as accurate as possible. The trousers are this nice sort of browny burgundy colour with some really good creases to give it that lifelike effect. Then we have some nice brown glossy shoes there, and we can see bits of detail there, and of course we have some legal stuff there. So the detail wise it's pretty detailed, but I think the thing what lets down this figure mainly is the paint apps. I think they're putting too much paint on the figure, making us lose the sharpness of the sculpt. Now you may be wondering, customized may be wondering, can you remove the head to make a Dimensions in Time Tom Baker? As far as I know, not really. The head is pretty secure and it's pretty tight around the neck, so I wouldn't recommend it, and of course this set is 30 quid, and I don't think it's worth trying to break the figure just to make a Dimensions in Time Tom Baker. Now, they say when you get older you shrink, but apparently according to Tom Baker you grow. The Curator figure is taller than the season 18 Tom Baker. I think, you know, because a new company I think are making the figures now. I don't think it's Design Works Windsor now. A new company's doing them, so I think that the scaling isn't exactly right. I think, you know, because the Capaldi figures scaling's a bit off really, because he's not the tallest Doctor. Tom Baker is. In this case he certainly is in the Curator figure form, but in terms of other 5-inch figures with the original ones, he's not really in scale, because I don't think you grow when you get older, you shrink. But hey, Tom Baker's a wizard apparently. Now time to look at Gallifrey Falls No More. Yeah, isn't this a nice addition? I didn't realise how big it was going to be. I thought it'd be quite a small thing, but as you can see it is pretty big. So if I put it up against a 5-inch figure, and that's sort of the scale of it, it is pretty big. And I quite like the idea that it's lenticular, it's not a printed on picture, and it sort of does sort of reflect the episode of being a sort of 3D painting, and obviously Day of the Doctor being in 3D. It was just amazing, and this has got an amazing bit when you actually went through it, and you saw, you know, Gallifrey and all that. It's just fantastic, and I'm feeling all nostalgic about it, so I quite like that. And the images are quite high resolution, so it's just brilliant. The detailing of the frame is great with this nice sort of swirl design and the lines across the border. So it's just great, a nice little addition really, and it just is a nice little piece to the set. So if I just move it to the back, which I think is a nice little addition, is little hooks. You can hook it up and put it behind your figures, which I think is really nice. I think they didn't really have to do that. You could have just left it blank, but the idea that you can hang it up is just brilliant, and it's definitely a thing I'll be doing, because it's such a glorious thing to have. And I'm just going to do this because it's quite cool, Gallifrey. So yeah, it's just great. Another accessory this set comes with is Tom's little walking stick, which is quite nice. It's just, what can you say, it's a stick with a nice little rubber end there, and that fits into his hand okay. It's just a bit weird really how it goes in really, and it's not really in proportion when you put it up against Tom. It doesn't really work, it's a bit too small for the figure, but anyway, it's still nice to have, and I suppose it's nice to have Tom with a stick, with a walking stick. So there we are, and now we can recreate a famous scene, which is great. Another good thing about this set is scene recreations. We can finally recreate the scene when the 11th Doctor meets the Curator, and doesn't that look wonderful in this sort of display? And I have to say, it just looks fantastic. Having those two meet in figure form is just brilliant. Now isn't that just a glorious sight, having the 3-ish Doctors there? Oh, it's just fantastic. I mean, it's worth getting the set just alone, just to do that. So would I recommend the Curator set? Maybe. I mean, it just seems a bit steep, £30 for what you're getting, you know, the Curator Tom Baker figure and the painting, so 15 quid for the figure and 15 quid for the painting. It seems a bit much really. I mean, 20 quid seems a bit more reasonable, £15 for the figure and £5 for the painting, but 30, it's not really worth it in my eyes. And I don't think that it's gonna go down in price, because figures just generally just go up in price really. So I would say get it if you're a serious collector or you're just a Tom Baker fan, but you can easily pass on this, I suppose. But it's just worth getting just to do that. It just looks fantastic. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this review, and I'll see you in my next video, whatever that will be. So thank you very much for watching.